Hey everyone, and welcome to Uncharted Realms weekly event. I'm Brent, sitting next to the one, the only streamer to be named, who's killing it in the production booth today. Today we're excited to host and bring to you Out of the Box Gaming's Armory Blitz event. Out of the Box Gaming is local to Thomasville, North Carolina. They have in-store play and a really spicy marketplace for trading card singles. So if you're in the area or looking for that new chain or prism card for your class constructed deck, check them out. Out of the Box Gaming in person or outoftheboxgaming.com. Super spicy event today. 22 heroes total. 22 awesome players. We're in round number 3, and we've got James Gibson on Kano versus Groff. I'm sorry, I forgot his first name. I'll have to get that for you. Riley on Ira. So who do you have to win? Kano or Ira? I know I got Kano. Huge Kano player. Kano will always have my vote, but who do you have in this matchup? Let me know in chat. And then finally, let's get into the gameplay. James starts it off turn 1 with a awesome new addition here from Monarch, Nourishing Emptiness. It's an awesome money card. It's going to have Dominate, so Wizard is not going to have any other attack actions in the graveyard. So, it is going to have Dominate, and it is going to allow the Wizard to draw a 5th card at the end of the turn. How spicy is that? If you thought you were getting roasted out before, you are super getting roasted out now. Big key there is that equipment. Most of the time, people are running no rune, so they don't even have armor to block it. So, awesome turn 1 there from James to knock this life total down 15 to 17, because Riley could only block with 1 card from hand. So, he was able to block 3 of it, took 3, and James is now up on 5 cards. So, that's a pretty good turn 1. I'll take that. But Riley going to come out here. It's leading off with an Exude Confidence. So 4 at the moment. Can potentially get higher. But crucially, Exude Confidence in this matchup prevents the defending hero from playing or activating instances or defense reactions this combat chain. So it is really spicy. So Exude Confidence is very good. Because Wizard will not have an ability to proc that. I mean, unless they get their second Nourishing Emptiness in the hand. But so James is stuck on any sort of instances this turn or defense reactions, or at least while the combat chain is open. So Needle coming in for 3. Classic Ira gameplay. James is in a little bit of trouble. Same combat chain, so no skull cap again. So skull cap, he thought James was going to do it with a skull cap twice, but same chain. So James is rethinking that one. Going to take the 1. All right, so Needle and Kadachi coming in. Look at that. James already down to 5. Riley at 17. So that'll close the chain. So those cards should go to the graveyard. So James will have the option to start doing instances. We just have Riley just hasn't moved it to the graveyard yet, but that Exude Confidence is gone. We're at the end step priority business. James might have it. Remember, he had 5 cards in hand and took a lot of damage this turn. So James is trying to roast out on Riley's end step. Ooh, bottoms all 3. Didn't like what he saw, which is a little bit unfortunate. A lot of times you like to see that nice money card put it up on top for yourself, but Riley is in super roastable range. So the next spell is pumped by 2. Thanks to the Crucible plus the Cindering Foresight, which allowed James to opt for the 3 there. And when he put all 3 on bottoms, remember that. So pitching for 2 more. Boots. Okay. 1 resource floating. All right, just a little bit of math there on a resource counter. Taking the 2. Aether Spindle. 6 coming at Riley. Opting for 6 is James. James still has 2 cards left in hand, so he could easily find, let's say, a Chain Lightning or a Reverberate, put it on top. If he's got a Blazing Aether in hand, Reverberate's one cost, Chain Lightning's 1 cost. That would end this game right up. I know James is not a big fan of the Reverberates, though, so he may not even be playing them. But that would absolutely end this game, because Reverberate would give or Chain Lightning would give, if he's got a Blazing Aether in hand, would give James an extra 3 damage. And then on top of that, Blazing Aether to double everything up. So for 18 total, and that would kill Riley. That is likely James is out. James could also potentially just Lessons in Lava onto the top. Roll Kano, cast the Lessons, just stack his next card, stack his next hand. He no longer has these Storm Striders. Alternatively, James could opt a Tome to the top. Okay, activating Kano. Yep, there's the Tome to the top to draw 2. Wants to just keep up in the hand. Remember, he's got another, he put both of those on top specifically. So blind off the hero now. Oh, another Tome. There we go. Okay, actually, no, excuse me. No, he was able to put 4 on top. So he knew that one was there. All right, James, now back with the full grip. What can he do? He's done 6 damage total this turn. He's got to find just something, finds a little bit more damage in a Blazing Aether, game over. A Stir to Fork Lightning, game over. With the Metacarpus no pump. But, James has the cards in hand. He's got the resources for it. Does he have the specific cards he needs? It's also possible James could just pass on this one and go back to his turn with his grip. He is going to do that. So James, because he was able to draw up, has a full hand for the next turn, even though he just spent a whole bunch of cards, gets to go back to his turn with cards to play, just minus the Storm Strider. So James popping the Storm Striders to get 6 damage and a turn. Now, James is in a little bit of trouble because he no longer has that Storm Striders, but if he's got a good grip here, oh, he had Chain Lightning in hand? Ooh, unfortunate. He should have had Reverberate. I know he hates it. That's why I'm doing it. But we got a double pump here coming into Fork Lightning for 8. 8 total coming at Riley. He can block 3 of it and take 5. Go down to 6. We got a 5-6 ball game here. James Arsenal in the last card, drawing up 4. And now James is going to have to run completely off the top or with snapbacks. So Riley now is in potential control here, has 3 cards in hand to work with, but the nice thing there for James is that Riley is likely going to have to use a lot of these cards out of hand, which means that he will not have resources up to spend to prevent some damage. But James also has to run blind off the top, so it's a little bit of a give and take situation. So Riley, yellow Flick Flack into the pitch zone. 2 cards in hand. A little confirmation on number of cards in hand. James was asking, but James got 1 to the pitch. So Kadashi for 1. Started out. Skullcap, easy block there. 1-1. Skullcap is now turned off. Needle for 3. Of course, you've seen it. James is not a big fan there of defense reactions for those that follow along. And James goes no blocks there. Ooh, Exude Confidence for 4. James can, in response to this, go off. He might have to. Yep, he is going to do it. Going to opt 3. It is. 1 second, guys. A little question on the rules. Gotta get a little rule. Hey, guys, can you hear me? All right, guys, there. Sorry about that. Little question on Exude Confidence. James is allowed to respond to Exude Confidence at instant speed because Exude Confidence has not become active on the chain link yet. Both players, the defending player gets priority before that card resolves. So, or at least goes to the active. So that was the question there. Riley was unsure about that, but we got that squared away and we're moving forward. Riley's talking about it, but and a little bit of friendly banter about it. And they're just kind of discussing it. We're just kind of sitting around here. So who do you guys have now that we're kind of deep into this match? Does it change? I still got Kano. I mean, James doesn't have the Storm Striders anymore, so it's a little bit more risky. But thankfully, he's got the Centering Foresight, so he's not super blind. A couple to the bottom, one to the top. And this is all in response to Exude Confidence. So Riley has one card in hand, so you got to think, okay, if James wants to respect all the damage, would be 7 there from Riley. It appears that James pulled a Chain Lightning off the top there. It would give him the 3 damage because he cast Centering Foresight. Pitches Eye that allows James to opt to cast the chain, so we'll have 2 energy floating. Remember, Riley has 1 card in hand. If James expects that to be a blue, you got to think Riley can block for 3, but then Exude Confidence will come in for 4. So James could then put 1, as long as James keeps a 3 block card in hand, he could potentially live through this turn. So 4 damage coming out for Chain Lightning. Riley deciding not to pitch there. 2-2. James can play his next spell as an instant. It's Wizard's Way of going again. So we're going to see here. James could just end this as long as he gets a spell damage for 5. An Aether Spindle. So 2 for, yep, there it is. 5 coming in. That's game. James got it. Yeah, a little question on the rules there for everybody that remembers when you play a card, your opponent does get priority prior to the card resolving. So, I mean, double check me on that, guys. Make yourself well versed in the rules. But James going to go ahead and take it in response to Exude Confidence coming out. Riley only had a Command and Conquer, could only block for 1 from the hand, so it was only going to be 4, but you do have to respect that 3 pitch. Good job there from James, got across from it, and might have to let him know that Chain Lightning could have also been a Reverberate, and it would have done the same thing. But anyways, that'll do it for us on round number 3. Remember, guys, this is Uncharted Realms bringing you the Out of the Box Gaming Armory Blitz event. Remember, our Out of the Box Gaming does card singles online and in-store play events. So go check them out if you're wanting that nice, clean card. I assure you they got it. If they don't got it, they'll get it for you. Other than that, that'll do it for us here in round 3. We'll catch you guys on the flip side on round 4. Have fun. Hey everyone, and welcome to Uncharted Realms weekly event. I'm Brent alongside streamer to be named in the production booth, and we're excited to host and bring to you Out of the Box Gaming's Armory Blitz event. Out of the Box Gaming is located in Thomasville, North Carolina. They have in-store play and a nice marketplace for trading card singles, Flesh and Blood specifically, Magic the Gathering also there. So anything you need, they got it. If you're in the area or looking for that spicy new card to make that Azalea deck, check out Out of the Box Gaming in person or at outoftheboxgaming.com. Today we're in round 3 of our 22-player event. We've got George once again back on live stream playing Dorinthia, and we have James again on Kano. So both these players both these players you've seen if you've been following us today. But who do you have to win this one? Last time George took the match, Dorinthia v Kano, but James is going to try to get revenge for the Wizard players. I've got Kano, or at least you guys know that. But anyways, let's get into the gameplay and see what's happening. James is our turn 1 player. This time, I don't think he's going to have that Nourishing Emptiness that just crushed it in the last one, but he might. There we go. So Crucible coming out. Going to try to pump his first spell here. Sonic Boom. Just going to wild it off the top turn 1 for 4. And George, he has, once again, 3 No Rune and his boots. So he's going to take 1 here, and James gets to look at the top. He may give a look at it. He's going to do it. Lessons in Lava, another 3 damage. Lessons in Lava critically says if it hits, James can tutor for a card in his deck based on the amount of the damage that's dealt and put that on top. But George should have no problem blocking this. Oh, all 3 cards out of the hand. All 3 cards remain. They were all red. James would have loved to seen that in turn 2, but last James was the turn 1 player. And so George gets a full mulligan there, but critically he loses some red cards right now. So on to George. James takes first blood there, 19-15, going into Dorinthia turns 1. We're plussing 2 on the Dawnblade with that Spoils of War. So 5 coming in, and go again. That's a good little opener there for Dorinthia, just trying to get that counter. James going to start off with 2 block on the Skullcap, and no reactions after that. So James taking 3, down to 12. George looking good, looking in command. Dawnblade has go again, and thanks to Dorinthia, it will be able to swing with it yet again. Has 1 resource floating. 1 from the spoils, and 1 from the Dawnblade. A little bit of considerations here. George deciding what he wants to do. All right, Dawnblade was the choice. So that kind of speaks to me that maybe there's some attack reactions in hand. It's only 3. James could overblock this with 2 cards from the hand to prevent the attack reactions, or if he thinks that it's mainly a reprise hand, he could go no blocks, and that's what he does. No blocks there, wants to take 3. George opting not to fire any attack reactions. May not be. Maybe we're getting baited by some sigils in the hand. We're going to see. George. Oh, he's deciding which card he wants to arsenal. So George moving into the cleanup set. James now considering what he wants to do. George allows it. James says it's fine. All right, now we're going to the draw. So bottom there for George, drawing 3 because he put 1 in arsenal there. Now we're back to James's turn, and he has a full grip. Tunics at 2. So here we go with James to pump his next spell. Oh, and the Metacarpus knows this is likely a Forked Lightning. Unfortunately, there's no stir there. So we got double pump here with 1 floating. Which is the gaze to cast. Let's see it. Let's see that fork. There it is. Forked Lightning coming at George for 8 at the moment with 1 floating. James still has his Storm Striders if he maybe has a Blazing Aether in hand. George takes 5. He is going to go with it. Blazing Aether for another 5. George wisely blocked 3. Counts for double now because of that Blazing Aether. So look at that. So James, no more cards in the hand. Crucially broke his big equipment. Valued the extra 5 potential damage over maybe just arsenaling the Blazing Aether, but is going to most likely take another card out of the hand here from George, or even up the life totals here 9-9. George is deep in the tank on it. He's considering, depending on what his hand is, he may just won't opt to take this. 9 against Wizard without Storm Striders is fairly safe. It's not super safe, but it's fairly safe. James now no longer has the Metacarpus Nodes and the Storm Striders as they both break. And now it's James' turn. So James fired his load early, and so we'll see if that comes back and pays back for him. James now not necessarily has a tempo advantage because George still has 3 cards in hand and 1 in arsenal, but James is likely going to have to spend a lot of cards to defend here because the Dawnblade is naturally coming in for 4. So 2 cards out of James's hand to block it. So George still has his boots to give go again. Question is does this Dawnblade have go again, and how might it get go again? Warrior has a lot of ways to do it. Mainly the one we see on the field is the bolts, or the boots, the refraction boots. James gonna throw out a Chain Lightning and Lesson of the Lava. Ooh, that could have been a really spicy turn had he kept his Storm Striders. James could have just casted Lessons in Lava for 4, put a Blazing Aether on top or another card on top with the Lessons in Lava, and then Chain Lightnings to get the pump because the previous spell casts another spell and then Blazing Aether off the top. But in effect, George just goes Sigil with the Dawnblade, and that's that. So George not necessarily having a whole bunch. So the sigil seemed a little bit clunky, but hey, you know what? 12-9, that's not too bad. But James comes out with the nourishing emptiness. Wow, what a good turn there from James. Only had to put 2 cards to block, and George didn't have anything. So hey, hot diggity, nourishing emptiness coming out. It's going to make it difficult for the warrior to block all of it. Looks to be almost impossible to block all of this. So James is going to go up to 5 cards in hand at the end of this turn. So great sequencing here so far from James. We got 9-10. It's a very close game, but James goes up to 5 cards now. And you got to think George might be in some trouble. George does have 3 cards to work with and 1 in arsenal. So now we go back to George's turn. James on 5 cards in hand. Sharpened steel to pump. George seems like he wants to add on to that. How big can he make this? But how many? So George is considering now, how big does he want to make this versus how many cards does he want to keep in hand available for shields? He does not want to get roasted out from 10. It's very easy for James to get there. If he gets a stir off the top or another way to cast cards off the top, he can. So 6 coming in. So
he's already getting it.
So we are getting it. Should have lost the counter. Sorry about that. We're clarifying on that. It did not hit last time. We're going to jump in there and just let him know. Yeah, correct. It didn't hit last time. We were about ready to get the counter there from him. Yeah, it was blocked by 2 cards from James's hand. All right, sorry about that, guys. We're back. Just clarifying the counters. The Dawn Blade did not hit last time. We just wanted to make sure that they both we had a correct board state. So we got just 6 coming in with Go Again, or it does not have Go Again at the moment, but it's available for George can do it. So James just throwing 1 in front of it. And so James takes 5. No defense reactions, no attack reactions. Breaking the bolters. A little bit out of sequence, but it still counts. It's fine. Domblade has Go Again. Oh, excuse me. No, it's when it hits. I'm sorry. This is not Snapdragon Scalers. What am I saying? No, correct on the bolters. George did it right. What do I say? What do I know? I don't know nothing. So great call there for you at home that were like, this guy's an idiot. AKA me is that guy. So Dawnblade has Go Again. So we got another spoils coming in to pump the Dawnblade yet again. So an attack for 5. James is at 4. All right, now James has to block because he's at 4. So he can't take this one. James is going to look at the top. He wants to see what he's got. No cards left in hand. Ooh, Cindering Foresight Red. So he'll be able to opt 3. And his next spell is going to be pumped by 1. Yeah, got to remember those trigger, folks. That's Refractor Bolts does specify when it hits. So good call there by George. Ooh. James going bolt now off the top. Hero ability. So pitching 3 to pump it by 2. So it's pumped by 2 now. Voltic Bolt coming in. 7 coming into George. James doesn't necessarily have to win here. Oh, pitch and snap back for 3. That'll do it. No cards left in George's hand. James is like, I don't care about blocking. I'm just going there. And Kano yet again shows the power of instant speed actions. Look at that. James, 10 damage off the top. He blinded that Voltic Bolt, but hey. Well, he didn't necessarily blind it. He blinded the Cindering Foresight. So, all right. You know what? That'll do it, though, for round number 4. Darn, James got it. Kano, there's no darn there. Let's go, baby. But we'll catch you guys on the flip side. Stay tuned for our prize giveaway, too, at the end of this round.
Is it just a Yeti for that? Yeah. Okay. Well, apparently I did not have sound that entire time. So that's tragic. Alright, well, I already randomized it, so we're just going to go with this randomization. But what I had said was we're going to roll the dice to see how many times we're going to randomize the list. We're going to get a 3 through the timestamp in. Then we went through, we had the names, and I randomized the list the 3 times. And so these are the 8 people who are going to get to pick in order for their prizing. So I'll be messaging you all. Yeah, sorry about that audio thing. I'm a professional.
Hey, good job, everybody. Yeah. Good winners. It happens to the best of us. Some of us can't get it up. Some of us can. You know, it's a sad day, but, you know, it is what it is. But, hey, congrats to the winners. And we'll see you guys shortly for round number 5. And you're right, Chad. The logo looks good. I agree with that one. Out of the box has got a killer logo. Hey everyone, and welcome to Uncharted Realms weekly event. I'm Brent, alongside the streamer to be named in the production booth. Excited to host and bring to you Out of the Box Gaming's Armory Blitz event. Out of the Box Gaming is local to Thomasville, North Carolina, and they have in-store play and a cool marketplace for trading card singles. Flesh and Blood and Magic, Force of Will, if you still play it, it's all there. Go and check them out. If you're in the area or looking for that spicy new card for your deck, check them out in person or online at outoftheboxgaming.com. So we're in round 5 of today's event. We started with 22 players, and we are finishing up right now. We are in, we've got George once again on the live stream playing Dorinthia against Riley, also been on the live stream today playing Ira. So who you got, Dorinthia or Ira? George is 1-0 or 1-1 on stream. Riley, I believe, is 1-0 if I remember correctly. So, you know, maybe my money might be on the Ira player, but, you know, enough of me yapping. Let's get into the gameplay and see what's at. So we just went through round 1. Riley chipped away with a couple Kodachis there. George falling down to 19 life. And then now we go back to George's turn for the tempo plays, going a Sharpened Steel into the Dawn Blade. 2 resources floating, a 6 attack coming in. So far, you would think this would be a Prism with these 6 attacks, or it could have had Go Again, but it doesn't. Riley's not going to block it, so no reactions there from George. George is definitely happy about that. Bolter's going to break, give the Dawn Blade Go Again. And George going all in on this turn. It's big. He's got 2 horses floating. Ooh, bracers and attacking for 4. Ooh, now if I was Riley, I think that's definitely some attack reactions in hand. So only 4 coming at Riley, but it's hard to just take 4 straight up. So let's see what Riley does. Gonna put his gloves in front of it. Scales trying to just chip away 1 out of that. And then we got a red Sink Blow out of the hand. So it's a 4 attack with 5 defense, and then George coming in with an Iron Song response. And we got another Flick Flack. Look at that, 7. 7-7, look at that. Nicely done there by Riley. Excellently navigated. Keeping himself from taking any damage and no counters on the Dawn Blade there. So it took 6 that turn. So he is down in life, but did navigate his way through that turn pretty expertly. Riley not going to have much to do on his turn, but starts off with the Sigil to gain 3 life. Look at that, and then draw up. So 19-17. George's complete tempo control, so let's see if he can keep the pressure up. You got to think, though, the minute that the pressure starts to slip back into Ira's favor, it could be a pretty miserable game for a Warrior player, but George so far rested off control, and he's going to keep running with it. Deciding how he wants to stack this hand, shuffles it up a little bit, get a different look at it. You know, it's good to mix up the cards sometimes, just kind of see something you might not see. George deep into the tank. You got to think, okay, how much does he want to pump this this Dawnblade by. Or maybe he's just trying to come out there with just straight reactions this turn. So Yellow Iron Song pitch. Spoils of War plus, so +2 and go again. Dawnblade coming in for 5, go again. If it hits, create 2 coppers. 2 cards in hand, 1 in arsenal. And based on George's play in the previous turn, if I was Riley, I would expect some attack reactions. So Riley not necessarily wanting to get reprised, but will trigger reprise if possible, because he did put a card out of the hand, but he is blocking for 5. So now it's back to George. Does he have those attack reactions? It looks like he does. There we go. Red out for blood, getting up to +8. Or giving it +3, excuse me, 8 total. Oh, but Riley's got a Flick Flack. Look at that. Who would have thought 3 Flick Flacks in 2 turns? Riley keeping himself alive. For those that don't like these defense reactions, I got to tell you, Flick Flacks are straight money. Oh, man, that could have been crazy, but good job there by our Ira player. Now he is only going to be able to... Riley only went into his turn with 2 cards with 1 in arsenal, but hey, navigating this really well against George's pretty dominating attacks. So now Riley coming in for life. George took 1 on the Kadachi. It does have go again because Riley has less life. And if it hits, he can gain 1. George deciding to put the chest in front of it and also wants it to come out of the hand. So we'll see if he will. He did say that he is considering it. So we are still in the defense step for those playing along at home. And now those that are kind of still watching, who do you have? So 2 Overpower. Overpower coming in for 2, but now Razor Reflex coming in out of Arsenal. Look at that from Riley. Using his cards very effectively. No cards in hand, nothing floating. Well done. Super, super awesome gameplay out of our Ira player here. Riley just coming out with some great flesh and blood gameplay. George doing pretty well himself, but Riley might just be able to kind of take this tempo, start to slide the scale back into his favor. Take that dawn to dusk. But that, I'll see myself out after that one. So George considering an attack reaction. Or defense reaction, 8 to 5. So George going to take, as it stands, 3. Riley would gain 1 life. That would make it 15 to 18. In Riley's favor. George considering whether he just wants to attack on his next turn instead. You got to think that maybe George takes this, lets Riley get that life, and then goes in with a stronger turn. He is going to take the 3, opting to keep the cards in hand, keeping the resources. It is 15 to 18. Riley's out of cards. He is going to use the Tunic, though, to come in for another 1. Look at that. Go, Kodachi, go. And George will block with a Skull Cap. So Skull Cap gets a counter. Could have blocked for 2, but only needs to block for 1. So look at that. All right, George going into his turn with 3 cards in hand and 1 in arsenal. Riley had just an awesome, amazing turn because of these Flick Flacks. Did really good for himself. I love seeing that gameplay, but here we go. George coming with the Dauntless. This is what he took 3 damage for. This Dauntless would have been so much better on the previous turns against the Flick Flacks. But it might also assist against if Riley drew any more of them. But only a 4 damage attack coming in on this Dawnblade. 1 card in hand, 1 card in arsenal for George. Big key now though is no boots. Can't give it go again. Just straight out at will, at random. Riley thinking. He might be considering some Flick Flacks. He may have drawn some. He's just going to block for 3. George just confirming that the mask has been destroyed. So right now it's 4 to 3. Ooh, George going to come up to 7 with a Stroke of Foresight. Stroke of Foresight, excuse me. Whoa, words are a little bit tough today. So that's going to give it +3. And George was able to cycle a card. Excuse me, scry a card because he had no more cards in hand. Put it to the top or the bottom. There we go. Look at that, George. So George opting, so it was already going to hit. So George opting not to potentially just attack with the Dawn Blade again because he didn't have go again and was not able to give it go again. So just come out for a little bit of damage. So we got 15 of 14 going into Riley's turn. 3 cards in hand total to start with. Now he's got 2 because he pitched to Kadachi. So we're likely going to see Kadachi. The chip away has started. George down to 14. Even ball game. Flying kick for 6. Great attack there from Riley. He's got 1 card in hand, no floating mana. So you got to think that this attack probably goes into the arsenal. So flying kick's effect is not active because it's not chain link 3 or higher, but it does get the +1 from the Ira. Ira's hero ability says the second attack you do is +1. I know that horrible verbiage on that one, but I'd have to read it specifically. But for those of you playing at home, go ahead and look it up, fabdb.net or fabtcg.com, and go see the cards and take a look at it. Ira's super good. Thank you there, John. Your second attack each turn gains +1. That's attack actions or weapons. So George down to 8 on his turn. All the cards in hand to work with. 4 cards in hand and arsenal. We got Sharpened Steel. Plus an additional Warrior's Valor. So another 3 go again. So huge attack here coming in. Those were both red from George. He's considering even putting more on top of this. George, you're wild. How big can he get this? So the Dawn Blade needs to hit to get and go again. You got to think, though, George is probably just going to pitch, swing, and then swing again when it likely hits. There's a lot of damage coming at Riley. George, check the graveyard. Yep. Dawn Blade going in. Doesn't do it. So, maybe Riley got some information there. Maybe that card in hands or the card in arsenal is a pump effect for the next Dawn Blade swing. I think George may have given Riley a little bit of crucial information there, or maybe George baiting it. Maybe he's got his poker face on today. So far 9 coming at Riley. Riley has already used 3 Flick Flacks, so just keep that in mind. He might not have as much defense reactions to work with anymore. Blocks for 6 from hands. Into reactions. George looks. Says nope, it says no. Riley, red sink below. These defense reactions are going wild. For those ninjas, gotta have these reactions. It's great. Now George comes out with the Steel Blade. Gets to search. Dorinthia Specialization allows him to go search the deck for a card. Oh, yep. Right into the Iron Song. Gives it another +3. That's great. You love that. It's such a clean combo. It's a +4 total, and you can do it for free because Iron Song is cost 0. Thanks to that Dorinthia Specialization card. So George, in the face of all of this shield wall, this stone defense, is just going absolutely nuts with these attacks. It's completely oppressive attacks. You love it. So Courage of Bladehold allows George to attack for free here. A card still in arsenal, but no mana floating. What great gameplay from both of our players here. This is a matchup for the ages. A Springboard. Riley, it's going to go to Riley's turn with 1 card in hand. So maybe not much. Maybe just... Okay, Riley's just going to arsenal and pass. So George, complete tempo control after just a crushing set of turns. Riley tried to get the tempo back. He almost succeeded on it, but then George was like, nah, baby, nah, I'm coming in. We resetting the clock. We're back to dawn. There ain't none of this darkness shenanigans going on. The Dawn Blade is just going to go ham, and ham it went. Just went crazy. So we got another Warrior's Valor. So this one's yellow this time, though. So 5 coming in. If it hits, go again. 1 floating. George has 3 cards to work with. 2 of those are in hand. Riley, if you remember on his turn, just passed and drew up. So he's got 4 cards in hand and 1 in arsenal to work with. Riley blocks for 6. Crucially there, you see the Command and Conquer coming out to block with. So Riley might not value, or might have to do that, might value another sequence of cards and doesn't want to maybe blow up the arsenal. So another +3, another stroke of foresight. Gets the cycle as well. Thanks to the reprise trigger. If a defending hero is defended with a card from their hand, this chain link, draw a card, then put a card from your hands on top or the bottom of your deck. If you have no cards in hands, it works completely like a scry for those Magic players. So George, back on top. He considered putting it on bottom, but second guess himself and put it on top, asking for any additional reactions. Yep, Riley has the flick flack. Love to see it. So 8 to 9. George not thinking if he wants to plus it up. Riley navigating these turns super efficiently to stay alive. You know, almost maybe has to play it this way. Or maybe it's the natural, intuitive way to play it. But darn, it is looking straight clean. So that'll do it for George's turn. Back to Riley's. He's going to pitch that 1 card he has left in hand. Has 1 energy floating. Or excuse me, 2 energy floating because that's a blue Fluster Fist. And so he's coming in for Kodachi for 1. The chip away game. It means both players' life totals are slowly starting to fall. You got to think this probably favors Ira later on. If you think of how much George has already spent, a lot of his red is gone. So George blocked the 1 of it. Now the Kodachi's coming in for 2. Doesn't block that one. Falls down to 6. Riley going to Incept. Doesn't have a 1 damage attack out of arsenal that he wants to throw at him. So what can George maybe think about that? Maybe Razor's Reflex there. If I'm George. Could be another Command and Conquer. So let's see. So George coming in. Pitching Iron Song Determination. So he's going to come in for 4 Dominate. With 2 floating. Now, no go again on this Dawn Blade right now. So Riley could just opt to not block this and take 4. And it could turn off any sort of attack reaction shenanigans George has. Yep, that's exactly what Riley's going to do after he second guesses block. He's like, no block. So George needs a straight up go again effect on these attack reactions. George considering maybe if he just wants to pump up the damage, which is not necessarily the worst idea here. If he's got, he may not be able to. Oh, he is going to be able to give it go again. Look at that glint. Glint's is so good. Oh, man. Glint the Quicksilver. Oh, but now Riley's able to react. Look at that. Another Flick Flack. 4 to 4. Cleans it out. So look at that. Critically there, George was not able to draw the card on the reprise because the reprise checks when the card is played, and Riley had not blocked with any cards from his hand when the attack reaction was played. So well done again by Riley. Into his turn now. George sitting at 6 life. Riley at 11. So far, Ira has been just getting crushing attacks coming at them, but the stonewalled shield defenses, thanks to Flick Flacks and Sink Belows, have kept Riley at a very healthy life total. If you were to look at this game right now, you'd be like, darn, Ninja player must have been rocking it, but the life total doesn't necessarily say the story as it was. But here we go, Riley. Enlightened Strike, deciding on modes, and deciding on what card he is pitching, or just throwing back here. He's been crafting his turns super magnificently lately. So he's picking the option to draw a card. So for 5 coming in, has no go again at the moment. Riley can give it go again, though, thanks to his Snapdragon Scalers. Or excuse me, his... Is it Scalers? Yeah, it is Snapdragon Scalers. Oh my gosh, I'm starting to confuse myself, so we'll see. There they go. Yep, so George blocks for 3, Snapdragon Scalers, gives it go again. So, Riley crucially needed a card. What it looks like is they had Command and Conquer in his hand and needed the energy to be able to do it. So now we got Command and Conquer coming in, trying to get that card out of the arsenal. Coming in for 7 thanks to Ira's ability. 6 plus the 1 because it is the second attack. And George can crucially not block it with defense reaction. So George putting his gloves in front of it and can block with 2 cards out of the hands if he wants to. George hasn't used that card in Arsenal, and neither has Riley. Both of those cards have just been sitting in there. I would absolutely love to see the long con if Riley's just got a defense reaction in Arsenal and just... I think that might be too spicy, too much of a long con. But George so far, he hasn't used his either. So it really depends on how crucial George feels about that one. But remember, George is also at 4 life. So he does have to respect the Razor reflexes if he falls low enough to allow these Kodachis to just start taking cards out of his hand. Yeah, so George only going to block 5 of it and take 2 damage. Down to 2. So now Razor's reflex is super active. George just going to come in for 3. Has no cards in hand, but 2 energy floating and 1 card in arsenal. This is... Ira's got complete control of this game right now. So here we go. George opting no reactions there. So that is just going to be a hit for 3. And no draw up. Sorry, that card was in hand. He arsenals it and draws. So now Riley's got complete control of it. Here we go. The Ira control is controlling this game now. Has complete control of this game. Kodachi started in. George doesn't even block that. Doesn't respect the potential Razor's reflex. We know Riley still got him in the deck. He hasn't played him yet, so I believe he might have played one earlier in the turn. Those in chat, let me know if you remember. So George's going to block 3. An E-strike follow-up. Ooh. So Riley going to pick the go again. Oh, no, you never want to hear that on E-strike on Chain Link 3. Ninja trying to do its best Prism impression. A little 5 go again. No sweat there. Now, George, if he wants to fully block this, he's going to need 2 cards out of the hand. Defense for 3. No. Okay, so defense for 3 sigils. Now we go to reactions. No reactions from either player. George goes back to 2. Now we got an Exude Confidence for 4. No resources. No cards left in hand for Riley to be able to pitch to get back into this, so he's not going to be able to pump it. So George cashing the sigils before the Exude Confidence as well. So nice job there. Didn't slow roll that. So blocks for 3, takes 1. George down to 1. No cards in hand. This is Ira's game. You'd have to think so. Ira's going to be able to hit for Kodachi, and take a card out for each Kodachi attack. And then all he needs is 1 extra damage to creep through. So this is going to be Riley's game. George had an awesome try at it. Now, technically, he still has his Skull Cap, but there's the Razor's Reflex reaction. George Sigil cancels it out. So, gain 3, lose 3. Even life total. So, Kodachi in for 2 now. So, but you got to think. So, George wisely, used his equipment to block. He still has a Skull Cap that can block for 1. He opts to block for 3. So George might not necessarily be out of this yet. Fine Cinder coming in for only 2. Not the best hand here for Riley. You could have thought that this might have been just way, way crazier. It doesn't have go again. It does have combo. So if George only blocked it for 2, we could have seen the gloves break, given the additional +1. Get that last bit of damage in, but George wisely just blocks it for 3, goes back to his turn, and he still has a card in hand. So he can attack for 3. So George necessarily does not have the tempo here, but he can at least get an attack in. So Dombley coming across for 1. I thought that was Ira's game right there, but Riley just couldn't get all the cards out of his hand, couldn't get enough attacks to just get that last point of damage in. And now George gets to get 2 cards out of the hand. Riley super respecting this attack. That might have been an overblown attack, but George gonna Sinking Steel Blade. Pumps it up to 4. We got 4 to 6 right now. And then George can go get Iron Song Response to give it +3. If he still got the red one. He may have already used both of them. George, considering what he wants, you would think that if he still had the second red Iron Song Response, he would just send it. Give it +3 because it's 0 cost. Oh, goes Glint instead. Just give it go again. So he doesn't have, I would indicate that he doesn't have that second Iron Song. For those of you with a better memory, you probably remember what he has played or not. So, George might have also wanted to draw the card. So, George gonna just go to his turn, doesn't arsenal, and just draws up 3 cards. Keeps that one in hand, and then we go back to Riley's turn. So George maybe missed the opportunity to get an extra card there, but maybe it was a card he couldn't afford to put in arsenal. I'm not really sure. Could have just been a mistake. Could have just been I just went too quick. So now Riley coming back to his turn. Each of these Kodachis is lethal. So George has to spin a card. He doesn't necessarily have to spin a card in the first one because he does have, I believe his skull cap is still on 1. It might be on 2. I have to double check that. The game's gone on so long. So here we go. So George blocks 2 cards out of hand. Rushing River. It is a combo card though, so it can get +1. But unfortunately for Riley, it's all blue cards right now coming up and just does not see any red. This is almost rough for Ira player. You just got to think your opponent's at 1 life. This should be it. This should be the game. But so far, George is just, we said Riley navigated these turns super well, but George is also navigating these turns super well. George coming in for an attack for 3. No blocks there by Riley. George down to a few cards left in the deck. Riley wants to keep all 4 cards in hand right now, and he gets to go Kodachi. Yeah, the skull cap is likely on 2 then. Sorry about that for those screaming at their computer screens that it is. Here we go. This is the turns Ninja was looking for. There we go. Leg tap for 4 with Go Again, and then Exude Confidence for 4. Will do it. It's finally Sigil and Arsenal there for Riley. A more crucial play probably would have been if Riley ever had cards in his hand to probably actually cast that Sigil that he just showed and getting extra cards. Riley had a couple rough turns at the end there, and Georgia almost had a chance to come back at 1, but alas, that's not going to be the case. Our Ninja player Ira takes it, and that'll do it for us here in round 5. I hope you had fun. Remember, this is Uncharted Rounds brings you Out of the Box Gaming's Armory Blitz event. So I hope you enjoyed that. Remember, Out of the Box Gaming is in Thomasville, North Carolina. So if you're ever in the area, go ahead and stop on by. They got people playing all day, every day. But critically, you can also buy card singles online from them. They got a great marketplace of card singles. That's Out of the Box Gaming at outoftheboxgaming.com. Thanks, everybody.